Welcome, friends,
to the How-To Heretic.
I'm Uncle Mark.
And I'm Uncle Dan.
And I'm Uncle Doug.
And this is your user's guide to life on the outside.
That's right. Leaving religion is the first step into a larger, better world.
But it can also be a scary world. Things work differently now.
Never fear. That's why we're here.
We're your audio uncles. And with help from good friends and experts in all sorts of fields,
we're going to share the stories and seek the knowledge to build a great life.
After all, you only get the one that we know of, so you better make the most of it.
Well, guys,
hello.
Well, hello.
It is what a day. I am here, like the clouds parted. I am here in brilliantly sunny Toronto. That is ravaged by disease and on the crazy lockdown, but it's beautiful outside, and I'm blasting my Goran Bregovic, whatever his name is, and I'm loving it, and it's fun, and what a show!
Yeah,
indeed. I have no idea what you just said, but yes.
Oh my God, you've got to listen to him. He's amazing. His music is the most fun thing ever. He's like this crazy Goran Bregovic. He's a Bosnian, and makes this crazy fast brass band music that's just the funnest thing in the world. And my neighbors probably think I'm a crazy person, but yeah, let's hear from the Goran Bregovic fans out there. Anyway, great show. I am going to peer into the past and find some bullshit with the Urim and Thummim.
And then I'm going to talk about something that I have steadfastly not done in the last year is fasting. So we'll talk about Ramadan.
Doug has been slowing this past year.
That's right. Fasting. And I am going to talk about a woo that probably half of you participate in and love, and you're all going to be mad at me.
Yeah. So goodbye, half our listeners. And
just remember, it was Uncle Dan.
Yes.
Bye.
It is a bittersweet day here at the How-To Heretic, you guys.
Oh.
It is truly a bittersweet day. We are making the biggest change we have made ever since we made the mistake of hiring Uncle Doug.
Yeah.
And that is after nearly 4 years, 3.5, 4 years of service, our beloved editor Cody, our own Rocket Man, has decided that he has to go live a life independent of us, and who can blame him? So this is Cody's last show with us, you guys. Which is
we honor you, Cody. We thank you.
We love
for
you.
Your service.
Yes, and we salute you.
And if everyone who can release Cody with a vote of thanks, please indicate by the raise of lifted hand.
And there's another change that comes with that. We have a new editor that we're very happy was able to come on at fairly short notice. And but what this means is we're going to change our release day for patrons, and we hope this isn't too upsetting or too much of a problem for you guys. But the only way we can make this work with our schedule and our editor's schedule is that we're going to have to do the patron release on Tuesday mornings, starting next week. This will be the last Monday, and that's the news. So we're going to leave the regular release date on Wednesday. We're trying to make this disruption as undisruptive as possible, so that you can all keep enjoying whatever it is we do, and not hate us, other than for the chiropractic segment. So, right. So be warned, that's coming. And with let's all blow a kiss to Cody as he waves goodbye, and let's do a show.
Uncle Dan.
Hey.
You know, one of the things that just keeps getting truer every year is that I keep getting older.
Well, you know what I decided? I decided that since COVID was such a bitch, that this last year doesn't count. So
I'm down with that.
My next birthday will be the same as my last birthday. I'm just skipping it. It doesn't. It never counted. It never happened. So
I think
I say that this year, you don't get older.
Yeah, your next birthday is going to be like your 2 birthdays ago, when you could actually have a celebration and
right, exactly.
There was something to look forward to.
Yeah. Although
yeah.
I even though I'm claiming I didn't get any older, the color of my hair and the weight of my body are calling me liars.
Well, and not only that for me, but my eyes. Right before COVID finally came crashing down, I went to the ophthalmologist for the first time. Ophthalmologist, for the first time in my life, and realized that I had been squinting a lot. So I got a pair of glasses right before COVID came down, and I have since bought myself a couple Warby Parker glasses, which I quite like. Yeah. But not all eyewear is as fashionable as your Warby Parkers and your
not all
Mont
eyewear
Blancs.
is created equal, is it, guys?
That's right.
True.
Yeah,
it's true.
So I remember when my husband noticed that I was holding my phone like 9 feet away from my face to read it. He's like, "Honey, I think you need glasses." And then when I got like amazing reading glasses and put them on and saw my face in the mirror for the first time in 3 years, I screamed. It's like I just peeked into the ark. So anyway, so for some reason I find myself creating accidental themes or patterns in the stories I cover. I've done at least 4 segments on crazy ideas about the moon, those being David Icke, hollow moon theory, Muhammad splitting the moon, and of course Mormon moon Quakers, or I mean the Quaker-like people that Mormon prophets insisted lived on the moon. I've done loads of segments on animals and the hideous cruelties religion loves to lard on them, from medieval animal law to the Gadarene swine to Balaam's ass. I also seem to sit at the UFO assignment desk, etc. I don't know why. But between last week, when I talked about 15,000 people giving themselves solar retinopathy, and this week, I've developed a very vision-based pattern, as we shall see here in this audio medium. So, let me get into the story of magical seeing via song, shall I?
Oh.
Now that spring has embraced the Northern Hemisphere, and here in these United States anyway, the pandemic seems to be halfway under control. There's a sense of renewal, of life returning to a recently benighted nation. I think the perfect song for that one is one of my favorites for just such moments. That being the 1972 Billboard Hot 100 chart topper, "I Can See Clearly Now," written and sung by the honey-voiced Johnny Nash. While I can't play it for you on the show because law, I can recite the opening for you. You guys know that song. It's gorgeous, right?
Yeah.
"I can see clearly now the rain is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. I can see the English meaning of words written in a long-dead language that never actually existed, via some magical spectacles that were also mounted in a piece of armor I found in a stone box in upstate New York, that were mentioned a few times in the Old Testament that for almost 200 years my followers will believe were the lens through which revelation came until one bright, sunshiny day when they all saw a brown pebble on the front page of the Deseret News, and suddenly none of it mattered anymore." I really love that song.
That's from the second verse?
Yeah, it's from the fourth verse.
Okay, no wonder I don't remember it. Yeah.
Yeah,
I love how our ex-Mormon listeners are all kind of nodding knowingly right now, and our Nevermo listeners are smelling toast.
Yeah, so I love that song. I never really understand the lyrics, but the melody is just lovely. So now, as Doug was intimating, now the average listener out there in the world might just think Uncle Mark was having a brain hemorrhage, or had momentarily been possessed by the spirit of Sarah Palin as she tried to describe what newspapers she's read. But for the Jewish biblical scholars in the audience and the large number of Exmos who join our weekly radio Sabbath, they will likely know that I am talking about the Urim and Thummim. That's right.
Well, some of them do.
Some of them don't. Now, no good people of heretic land, I am not talking about urine on thumbing. I am assured this is not an actual diagnosis, and my battery of doctors at the University of Phoenix Medical Center still can't figure out why I pee on my thumbs, but do continue to pray for a cure for me.
I thought Urim and Thummim was a town in England.
I thought it was a British New Wave band, but that's fine. We're all right.
I speak of the Urim and Thummim, an odd pair of items, or maybe a grouping of items mentioned very much in passing a few times in the Old Testament, before deciding to immigrate to New York State in the 1820s. Did you guys know? Do you remember them in the Old Testament?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember them existing there.
I think I had forgotten that they were in there, and I thought that it was just another one of the stupid terms that Joseph Smith made up. Anyway, let us gaze upon the rock. Let us gaze upon the rock in our hats, and begin with their Jewish origins briefly. Because the Urim and Thummim are mentioned so infrequently and barely described, there is very little agreement on what they may have looked like or what they really even were. Some argue the meaning of the Hebrew words Urim and Thummim are lights and perfection, while others think the names mean cursed and faultless, and even guilty and innocent, right?
Okay.
Which
None
will
of
make
this is helpful.
It'll make sense in a second. So here are a couple of those very brief mentions of these items in ancient Jewish texts. From Exodus 28:30. In the breastpiece of judgment, you shall put the Urim and the Thummim, and they shall be on Aaron's heart when he goes in before the Lord. Thus Aaron shall bear the judgment of the Israelites on his heart before the Lord continually. So that's a perfect description.
Okay.
Then from the book of Ezra 2:63. The governor told them that they were not to partake of the most holy food until there should be a priest to consult the Urim and Thummim. So no weasel for you until the guy shows up with whatever this thing is. A lot of scholarship and rabbinical thinking on the subject, including the medieval Jewish philosopher and Torah scholar Maimonides, are of the opinion that these objects were some sort of small discs or tiles concealed within the bejeweled ceremonial breastplate of a Jewish high priest. Again, according to Maimonides, the high priest would employ them when standing facing the Ark of the Covenant, while either a person seeking a divinely guided answer or someone thought to be guilty of a transgression stood behind him. The priest would then reach into the pouch under the breastplate and over his heart and pull out, supposedly at random or at divine random, either the Urim, meaning no or guilty, or the Thummim, meaning either yes or innocent.
Or a rabbit, meaning ta-da!
Or a try again later. Other thinkers on the subject make claims that the jewels on the breastplate would light up like traffic lights, spelling out an answer. But since there were only 12 jewels on the breastplate and 22 letters in the Hebrew alphabet, that's pretty dumb. Or even that the jewels would move around magically, divining an answer. So, sure.
It's a Ouija board.
It's exactly. But in any reading, the Urim and Thummim was pretty much a Semitic magic 8-ball, giving only yes or no answers from the super being who created everything. It's a form of what's called claromancy, which is using an object or objects to predict fate or divine will, like dice or casting lots or flipping a coin, etc. There's plenty of weird shit in the Old Testament. Just throw this on this same old pile and forget about it. Well, not so fast, Elder Uncle Mark. You have been found guilty of forgetting where this story gets really interesting before you were commanded by Temple Square to forget about this story entirely. It seems a young Bible enthusiast and avid plagiarizer who would loom large in all our lives ended up becoming neighbors with the Urim and Thummim thousands of years after their immigration from Bible land to rural New York via a Jewish pre-Columbian ocean voyage to Central America, then a brave overland dash from Guatemala to somewhere near Niagara Falls, and nearly into young Joseph Smith's very own backyard. All it makes is sense. In the 1820s, Smith later would recount, an angel, then a couple guys, then a few guys appeared to him. Listen to Doug's telling of the many shifting first vision stories in episode 134 for that hot mess. Told him that the Urim and Thummim, along with a big golden textbook the size of a car battery, therefore being very damned heavy, written in a language that never existed, a sword belonging to the bad guy in that book, who was murdered while asleep by the good guy in that very same book, and a huge armor breastplate to which the Urim and Thummim may or may not have been mounted. Depends on which official church version of them you go with. That all that were buried in a hillside near his home. Hurry up and go get all that good shit, kid. So, after 4 years of inexplicable false starts, he finally digs them up in 1827. Remember that? He kept going back and the angel wouldn't let him have them or something?
Yeah, he literally, it was this weird game of Mother May I or something.
Right, so the angel or angels or a chorus of angels or God or Jesus or whoever appeared to him and said, we find you worthy to go get this stuff. And when he gets there, they're like, yeah, no. So
psych.
Anyway, so he finally digs them up in 1827, and the work of the great translation of those golden plates into the free doorstop in the drawer by your bed anytime you check into a married hotel, the Book of Mormon, began. Like so many things about Smith in the Book of Mormon, Mormon history, and the ever-shifting official accounts for all of the above, Even those who, quote, saw the Urim and Thummim, Smith's intimate associates, couldn't agree on what they saw. In 1842, Smith himself said, "With the records was found a curious instrument, which the ancients called Urim and Thummim, which consisted of 2 transparent stones set in the rim of a bow fastened to a breastplate. Through the medium, the Urim and Thummim, I translated the record by the gift and power of God." Important, remember these words by the prophet himself. In 1853, his own mother, Lucy Mack Smith, said, "It consisted of 2 smooth, 3-cornered diamonds set in glass, and the glasses were set in silver bows, which were connected with each other in much the same way as old-fashioned spectacles." It's funny to think of somebody in 1853 saying something's old-fashioned, but it was.
I was about to say.
Okay, not too dissimilar. 2 people can describe the same thing in different ways, right? Martin Harris, one of Smith's first disciples, who therefore would have been among the first to see the thing, said, "The 2 stones set in a bow of silver were about 2 inches in diameter, perfectly round, and about 5/8 of an inch thick at the center, but not so thick at the edges where they came into the bow. They were joined by a round bar of silver about 3/8 of an inch in diameter and about 4 inches long, which, with the 2 stones, would make 8 inches. The stones were white, like polished marble, with a few gray streaks." Okay, 2 white stones like polished marble with gray streaks. This is not how one would describe transparent stones or 3-cornered diamonds, like the eyewitnesses above, right, fellas?
Yeah.
Starting to seem fishy.
It's getting tricky.
Getting trickier. J.W. Peterson, in a 1921 interview, recalled a discussion with Joseph's younger brother William in 1890. In it, he said, explaining the expression as to the stones in the Urim and Thummim being set in 2 rims of a bow, he said, "A silver bow ran over one stone, under the other, around and over that one, and under the first, in the shape of a horizontal figure 8, much like a pair of spectacles. They were much too large for Joseph, and he could only see through one at a time, using sometimes one and sometimes the other. By putting his head in a hat or in some dark object, it was not necessary to close one eye while looking through the stone with the other. In that way, sometimes, when his eyes grew tired, he relieved them of the strain. He also said the Urim and Thummim was attached to the breastplate by a rod, which was fastened at the outer shoulder's edge of the breastplate and to the end of the silver bow. So now they're on a rod held out from a breastplate. I guess the high
I'm still trying to figure out what this bow is. Everybody's mentioning a bow, and I'm confused.
I think that probably was the name for the frame of an eyeglass, right? Oh. Like that's kind of how they described when he said it's like a figure 8. The bows make a figure 8 that hold the stones.
Right.
So now they're on a rod held out from a breastplate. I guess the high priest would use them like a guitar player uses a harmonica on one of those hold out from your neck thingies. I don't even know what those are called. Am I the only one thinking this is getting ridiculouser and ridiculouser?
Nope, you're not.
Another interesting problem with the Mormon Urim and Thummim, they weren't even called that until 1833, well after the publication of the Book of Mormon and the foundation of the church. They aren't mentioned in the Doctrine and Covenants or early versions of the Book of Commandments. Then they suddenly appear in an amended text of the Doctrine and Covenants in 1835. In 1838, Smith said definitively, "I obtained the plates and the Urim and Thummim with them, by the means of which I translated the plates, and thus came the Book of Mormon." So Smith himself twice said it was done that way, but well after the fact. But why the delay in calling them that? Prior to these later reprintings and claims, the magic items Smith had used to translate the Book of Mormon were called seer stones. Scrying, which is looking for treasure with the use of a favorite magic rock, was a common folk magic in 19th century rural America. Smith, before finding the mythical treasure that would briefly make him rich before forever making him dead, was an avid practitioner of this hokum, as were some of his family members. The original story was he put his seer stone or peep stone in a hat and then stuck his face into that hat, in which he could see the ancient text turn into English. In fact, he had been cited by criminal courts twice for being a fraud and a charlatan in his search for Al Capone's vaults and whatever other wonders he promised the farmers he would find. He was
Jimmy
also
Hoffa.
Yeah, he did find Jimmy Hoffa, which was kind of amazing. He was also finding lots of people lost interest in his new faith when they found out it was derived from this silly ground-penetrating bullshit that was common at the time. So he lifted the magic gems from the high priest breastplate in the Old Testament, and having the good luck of them being terribly under-described, other than possessing magic, he repurposed them to give his wobbling faith some of that Old Testament legitimacy razzle-dazzle. The church then spent, 175 years beating the shit out of anyone who dared mention the old Rock and the Hat translation method from the earliest accounts of the translation.
Yeah.
Yep. Fuck you, that never happened. It was a super weird harmonica brace with giant diamonds on it or white marbles either sticking up from a breastplate or mounted in it like a welder's mask, or just ancient Judean Coke bottle glasses. All or one of them is the official story. How dare you say otherwise? Here's a random assortment of official church art and illustrations with a guy wearing glasses. The one and only true and unchanging church on earth has spoken. The end. Then, one bright, sunshiny day in August of 2015, those of us here in Mormon country woke up to see on the front page of our newspapers a little brown turd of curious workmanship. It looked like the Easter egg equivalent to Charlie Brown's Christmas tree. There, my friends, in print, was Joseph Smith's seer stone. Not a pair of blobby diamonds mounted to a breastplate, but the magical 19th century treasure-digging seer stone that not only got Joseph Smith's fraudulent ass dragged into court twice, but was of that morning's Deseret News and Salt Lake Tribune the official method by which Joseph Smith translated the golden plates before the angel took them back to heaven or Kolob or the big golden book library. 175 years of official church revisionism and whitewashing gone in an instant, to be replaced with the pre-1835 explanation for the magical translation, for what the magical translation was before being officially unhappened by the church, before once again being restored by the church, in turn unhappening the absurd Urim and Thummim. So at this rate, look for the Urim and Thummim becoming the official translation method, replacing the little brown cat turd in around 2160. Two things in this life are certain. The Mormon Church will burn out the clutch as it keeps shifting its official history, and I will keep peeing on my thumbs. So that is the Urim and Thummim, guys.
Well, it's funny
you
because
go.
when we were children and the Urim and Thummim were mentioned, and by the way, I just typed while you were talking. I typed Urim and Thummim into Google.
Yeah,
and I don't know what this says about me, but I spelled it correctly. I guarantee you no listener's going to get that right on the first try.
yeah. Well, spell check insists that those are not words.
It is correct.
But I
Spell check
remember,
is correct.
like, we were, the official church art and the official church description of this thing that was so fundamental. Mm-hmm. Like the Book of Mormon was the center of the faith, and how this book, found its way into old-timey English was through this breastplate with a pair of glasses like stuck to it.
Yeah, and so nobody ever was able to make sense of that for me.
No, and if you Google it and look up the artwork,
Yeah.
it's bananas. It's all over the map. It's very, very strange. And
Well,
I don't
can
know
I
why.
just say that Sorry, you go on with what you're going to say.
I just was going to say I don't know why the church thought, well, this is a more legitimate form of translation
Right.
than a peepstone. You
Well,
know what I mean?
because at the time, peepstones were
Right.
Even in 1830s, a lot of more sophisticated people considered, treasure digging peepstones ridiculous.
a little low.
Yeah, it was like
My
folk
my upbringing handled this in a way that I think actually worked really well for Mormons, which was that I never saw. I heard the term Urim and Thummim, but no one ever told me what it was meant to be. I never got a glasses thing. I never saw an image. They basically pretended it didn't exist.
They were in like primary books, right, Doug? And there was a lot of official church art. One very famous one of, an illustrated Joseph Smith wearing them like a giant pair of glasses.
Yeah, I do. Right. Yeah, they were talked about, but it wasn't. It wasn't the favorite subject, but it was something that I think there was a need.
There's a lot of not favorite subjects.
Exactly. I think they felt a need to talk about it because
Because it's
was part of the
miraculous.
It's part of the story, and they're stuck with it.
Right, and the translation of the Book of Mormon from an ancient, gold book into some incredibly shitty English is miraculous. Right. So you have to have some kind of explanation. That they zigged and zagged on it is bonkers. I have to say, as I was writing this, I'm kind of surprised no one has ever reworded the old Frosty the Snowman song for Joseph and his peepstone. There must have been a magic rock in that old top hat he found. For when he put it on his face, he began to make a sound. Oh, Joseph the con man. Somebody will take it from there.
I sure hope that's public domain. No, I'm kidding. No, and that goes to a central frustration that a lot of us ex-Mormons have with the official Mormon Church, is that it's not that what you're telling me isn't true, it's that it's not true.
Yeah.
You had this goddamn rock in its little leather satchel the entire time. That you were telling me as a child that it was a magic pair of glasses attached to a golden breastplate. That is how Joseph translated the Book of Mormon. And
but
you had this fucking rock the whole time.
Here's the thing: they own all of it now.
Yeah.
Now they're not saying that it's the rock and not the Urim and Thummim. They're saying all the things.
Right.
Yeah, he did all the things.
Do you guys remember this? I can't remember if this is something I imagined or if it's real, but I think that the Missouri Mormons, the what are they called now? The Community of Christ.
Yeah.
I think they had it because I think Emma had it. Is what I seem to remember this story, and they were going to go public with it.
Had the rock.
Okay. And I do you guys remember that being part of this? But anyway, I think this church decided, well, we got to get ahead of this, so we'll just do it with them.
Interesting.
And folded it into this, rather impressive project they were working on called the Joseph Smith Papers.
Right.
Releasing a lot of things that had not been previously seen, right?
Right, but
oh my God!
So the idea of these magic glasses makes a certain kind of sense because the golden plates had this language on them that Joseph didn't speak, this Reformed Egyptian, and he had to somehow translate those glyphs into English.
Yeah.
So a pair of glasses is like, okay, I get it. He looked through the glasses at the golden plates, and what he saw was English. It's stupid, but it has an internal consistency.
Yeah, it has an explanatory value.
So Joseph Smith is running through the forest with this brick of gold that weighs like 500 pounds.
Yeah.
Running from people who are trying to steal it from him, so he can translate that into English. It turns out that this story is now that he sat with his face in a fucking hat, looking at a little rock in there, and wasn't even looking at the golden plates.
Yeah, the plates were not present.
So why are the plates part of the story? It's like,
because otherwise it's not a story about engine gold.
Truly, yeah.
So there you go. And by the way, the Old Testament references never speak of them having a visual component.
Right.
The breastplate of the high priest had gems on it. You can see, they found these things as artifacts, but they weren't used to see anything. They were dice essentially, or
how dare you.
Dominoes. So it doesn't make a whole lick of sense, but here we are.
Yeah.
Happy 24th of July, everybody.
All right. With that beauty in our minds, let's move on. Hey, Uncle Mark.
Yes.
I think I just want to put it out there that I am really appreciating that picture of Muhammad that you're drawing right now.
Thank you so much. I really try to capture the gaze he was giving Aisha when he first laid eyes on her.
I thought you were going to say he was gay. I thought you said gays,
I don't think there's much proof for that, but no. But he did. He was a man of sexual appetites. He was a man after all.
Yeah,
a very special one.
One who is frequently and much celebrated.
Yes,
Uncle Doug. I think you can attest to that.
And
I can indeed.
Apparently, a man who did not get hangry.
or perhaps one that got exceptionally hangry. That might explain a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's much more special than Uncle Mark, if that's the case.
Yeah, that's true. Well, dear uncles, although there is light at the end of the tunnel of this wretched pandemic, we are still a ways away from a full return to anything we would call normal. And because time slows down during a pandemic, like a car crash or a Michael Bay movie, it's hard to process just how long we've been living through this existential stress. But it's been over a year now. Yeah. So this means we have spent at least one of every holiday alone, or at least at home. Holidays are supposed to be communal affairs where we gather with friends and family. So having spent an entire year's worth of holidays apart has certainly caused a fair amount of undiagnosed damage that we'll all be unpacking for the rest of our lives.
Those of us, at least, who are actually trying to participate in the health of our community.
Truly, yeah.
Rather than cheating and getting together with your families.
That's right.
There are some people for whom not getting together with their families was a huge relief. So
that's true. However, it's not always your family; it's also with friends and who needs a reason to drink. Yeah. This guy. We have missed out on. All of us have missed out on at least one: St. Patrick's Day, Passover, Easter, Earth Day, Mother's Day, Cinco de Mayo, Memorial Day, Flag Day, Juneteenth, Father's Day, Labor Day, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Indigenous Peoples Day, fuck you, Columbus, Halloween, Diwali, Veterans Day, Thanksgiving, Hanukkah, Christmas, Kwanzaa, New Year's Day, MLK Day, Groundhog Day, and Valentine's Day. And because it's been a full year now, we have all celebrated at least one birthday and the Independence Day of every country on Earth in quarantine. And as of April 13th, for 1.8 billion Muslims around the world, this is the second Ramadan to take place under the burden of COVID-19. Yeah. And that's what I want to talk about today, the holy month of Ramadan.
I like, see, now you've got a pattern going on in your segments too. You've gone from Rumspringa to Ramadan, which is quite the opposite.
I'm actually working my way alphabetically through all of our segments, yeah. Not terribly well, apparently. Let's talk about Ramadan. Let's talk about what it is, why it is, and when it is. And then let's talk about some unforeseen challenges to observing Ramadan posed by a spherical planet, yes, it's round, that's on a tilted axis and is circled by a permanent space station. It's a strange trip. So, pronunciation disclaimer, I'm going to say a bunch of Arabic words incorrectly. Please believe that this is not on purpose, so please don't put a jihad out on me. All right?
Jihad. I don't want one of those fatwas.
So first of all, the word Ramadan is the name of the 9th month in the Islamic lunar calendar. This calendar consists of 12 months, but 355 days instead of 365, since it is based on the lunar cycle. So based on that, a month begins with every crescent moon. So with the new moon on the last day of the month of Shaban, fasting begins with the rise of the crescent moon on the first day of the month of Ramadan. The word itself means scorching heat, interestingly enough. Because the calendar runs on a 355-day cycle, and because most of the rest of the world uses the Gregorian calendar, the Islamic calendar is pretty much only used to mark, festival days, the Hajj, and Ramadan. Although Iran and Afghanistan use a version of the Islamic calendar. Just remember that when you need to pay rent in Iran.
Yeah.
Muslims believe that all the holy books of Islam were revealed during the month of Ramadan. So those books include the Scrolls of Abraham, the Torah, Psalms, the Gospel, and the Quran itself. It's believed that the distance between Allah and his children is kind of shortened during Ramadan. And the tradition of Ramadan goes all the way back to the beginning of Islam, to Muhammad himself, supposedly celebrating the first one in 624 CE.
Interesting.
Yeah. Most everyone knows that the predominant practice during Ramadan is the daily fast. Muslims are not supposed to eat, drink, smoke, or make whoopee during the daylight hours of Ramadan.
Make whoopee.
Which makes the nighttime hours really interesting.
For anyone under 50, that was a term on a game show because they couldn't say sex.
Is that really where it comes from?
That's where I remember it from.
It predates that. It predates the game show. Do you remember the song?
Yeah, that's what you get, folks. Yeah.
Another reason for making whoopee.
Where do you? All right, we are old.
We are old.
The early
not that we were there for that song. That was that.
Well, Uncle Mark was.
Yeah, that's true.
So there's basically during Ramadan you only eat 2 meals. The pre-dawn early meal is called the suhoor, and the evening meal to break the fast is called the iftar. For obvious reasons, these 2 meals can be somewhat extravagant. The purpose of the fast is to focus the mind on Allah and to put more effort into self-improvement and charitable giving. The idea is that distancing oneself from worldly things like food and water will help cleanse the soul and redirect the heart. Although I can think of nothing that will make me focus on lunch than not letting me have it.
I know. Like, if I don't eat by 3 o'clock, everybody looks like a turkey leg. I don't know how they do it.
Yeah, I want to be fair. Going from dawn to dusk with no food or drink is hard. How hard? How the fuck would I know? But I would imagine that it's hard
They
to do.
can't even have water, right?
No, they can't drink water. They can't drink water. They can't, one of the only vices they're allowed is nicotine. They can't have that. So
you can't smoke?
No, you can't smoke. Nothing goes in. That's basically the rule of it is nothing goes in.
Wow.
So I would, doing it a couple times must be hard, but an entire month of not having lunch or stopping by a drinking fountain must be freaking tough.
Also, just imagine how fucking on edge, like, all of Muslim society, like, smokers can't smoke for, maybe 15, 16 hours a day.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then imagine, not being able to drink a glass of water if you live in a blast furnace like Saudi Arabia or Sudan.
And you still, during Ramadan, you still do your job, right? Whatever you do, you still do that. So
some countries will shorten business hours. Some very, very Muslim countries will shorten business hours to kind of make it a little easier. But most of the time, if you're living in any Western country or progressive Islamic countries, no, you just got to go to work. You still have to do your thing.
And so if you dig ditches or you're a construction worker or whatever, you just, wow, that's rough.
Yeah.
I just imagine, like, the sun going down in Saudi Arabia and an instant plume of tobacco smoke.
Oh, you're not wrong.
Rises.
You're absolutely not wrong.
Right.
So at the end of the day, the Muslims will often gather with family or neighbors for the iftar. When the sun finally sets, traditionally Muslims break the fast with dates and water, which is how Muhammad is said to have done it. And then the eating begins. Iftars can be huge meals, often buffet style. They can be such gluttonous affairs, both, that many Muslims actually gain weight during Ramadan.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's very common.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's very common. Although any food is acceptable.
That's my excuse this year.
It was Ramadan. Although any food is acceptable during the suhar and iftar, Muslims tend to lean traditional during this month. So lots of lamb, chicken, kebabs, coconut milk, chickpeas, rice, and of course a ton of desserts, which may help explain the weight gain. Yeah. During the month, one night is holier than all the others. Laylat al-Qadr, or the night of destiny, or the night of power, which is thought to be the night when the first verses of the Quran were revealed to Muhammad. It is generally in the last week of Ramadan, and many Muslims spend all night in their mosque praying because prayers offered during this night are even more special than on any other night. How special? Well, a prayer offered on the night of power is worth more than 1,000 prayers offered on any other night. So get in there.
Wow.
But anything multiplied by 0 is still 0, so I'm not that impressed.
Fair point. So finally, on the last night of Ramadan, Muslims gather for the final iftar called the Eid al-Fitr. This is a pretty sizable meal, even by comparison, to mark the end of the month of Ramadan and the fast, and the beginning of the month of Shawwal, when life kind of goes back to normal. So it's a huge meal, and it's a big celebration. And you would imagine after 30 days of fasting from dawn till dusk, it's a bit of a celebration just to get through this ordeal.
It is officially a celebration, right? It's
100%, but you can imagine that it's a sincere celebration.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Observing Ramadan is one of the 5 pillars of Islam that all Muslims are required to practice, along with Shahada, or the profession of faith, Salah, the daily prayers, Zakat, charitable giving, and the Hajj, or the pilgrimage to Mecca. So observance of Ramadan is actually quite high. Even in Western countries, it's in Muslim communities, it's very, very high. Depending on where you live, it might be on the higher or lower than average, how it's observed. In countries like Saudi Arabia, Algeria, Kuwait, Malaysia, eating, drinking, or smoking during the daylight hours is a crime. The punishment is, exactly. The punishment is typically fines or community service, but as a general rule, it's probably not wise to get arrested in Saudi Arabia if you can avoid it. Conversely, the USSR banned Ramadan throughout their empire, which consisted of some of the most conservative Muslim countries on earth. The ban was obviously ineffective because how exactly do you enforce it? Right. And it did little to endear the Soviets to the locals.
You eat, goddammit.
Well, it's not going to surprise you that the Chinese have banned Ramadan, especially in the Uyghur region.
Yeah.
And they've been a bit more effective than their Soviet predecessors. So any Uyghur observed not eating lunch will be sent to an internment camp if they haven't been sent already.
Jesus.
Wow. So, yeah, a lot of Muslims, the Uyghurs and Muslims in China, make it a point to go out and eat lunch during Ramadan so that they're seen. Right, exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's, either side, you're getting screwed coming and going. The health benefits of Ramadan are unclear. Pregnant or nursing women, the elderly, prepubescent children, the sick, people who are traveling or menstruating women are not required to fast.
Really?
But depending on what country you're in, some of those groups might find themselves being strongly encouraged to participate.
Right.
The health effects of unhealthy individuals seems to be largely nominal. Periodic fasting can be very good for the body. However, binging after fasting can negate or even counteract those benefits. So that, the iftar at the end of every day can kind of wash away any benefits to kind of the fasting.
Yeah, I think it would take an enormous amount of self-control not to overeat a bit.
Absolutely.
When you're that famished.
Exactly. Yeah. The effects on sick individuals are largely negative. In most Western countries, this isn't a big deal. If a doctor tells you not to fast, it's no problem. So be grateful that you're not a pregnant diabetic woman in Turkmenistan.
Right.
This brings us to some unforeseen...
Or in Turkmenistan.
Or anyone in Turkmenistan. Yeah. Oh, our Turkmenistan listeners are going to be pissed.
Oh, the Turkmens, they love a good joke. They're fine.
This brings us to some unforeseen complications in observing Ramadan that God's own prophet failed to predict because, 624. Although the Earth is tilted 23.5 degrees on its axis, which is what gives us our seasons, and changes the length of the day, and although the lunar calendar means Ramadan will start on a different day every year, the length of the day in Saudi Arabia doesn't change much. The summer solstice in Mecca is about 14 hours of daylight. The winter solstice is about 10. So it's not a huge difference.
Right.
I think those hours are probably pretty meaningful when you're eyeing a bowl of dates on the table. But that's nothing compared to the difference at higher and lower latitudes. Muslims in Helsinki, Finland, for example, might have to struggle through 19 hours of fasting in a June Ramadan and a mere 5 hours of fasting in a December Ramadan.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Ditto New Zealand and Tierra del Fuego. Never fear, there is a workaround. If you live in a region that is plagued by constant sun or constant darkness, during Ramadan, you are allowed to set your feeding schedule to the clock in Mecca. So you can get around that one. And there is an even weirder issue that had to be debated by Islamic scholars in order to come up with a solution. What if you happen to be an observant Jew in low Earth orbit? For such a person...
Wait, an observant Jew?
Pardon, I said Jew, an observant Muslim.
Right.
I'm sure Muslim scholars agonize over Jews on the space station.
This would take a turn, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you happen to be an observant Muslim in low Earth orbit. For such a person, sunrise and sunset are separated by a mere 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Not to mention that facing east toward Mecca is quite literally a moving target. This has been an issue for some of the 11 Muslims who have been in space since 1985. And although most of these Muslims were only in space for a few days, and not during Ramadan, Musa Manarov, for example, the first and only Azerbaijani in space, spent 541 days on Mir.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
However, Muslims time their daily prayers to the rising and setting of the sun, so this issue needed to be tackled, even though if I were on Mir, I would be praying the whole time. Muslim astronauts are permitted to either set their clock to Mecca or at the last place they stood on terra firma. This means they would be setting their clocks to either Mecca, Cape Canaveral, Florida, or Star City, Russia.
Yeah.
And wouldn't you know it, Mecca and Star City just happen to be in the same time zone.
Oh.
Yeah. So there's
They
that.
are?
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
You're kidding.
No, they're
I'm looking at a map right now. They could be, yeah.
Mecca's directly south of Star City.
Huh.
Just a long way.
Yeah.
Now, as silly as all this is, I struggle to see really anything super negative about Ramadan. For the most part, it seems to really focus people on their family and community. You can watch, videos of the iftars. It looks like a perfectly wonderful time. The family, kids running around, everybody eating great food. It's clearly an ordeal, but going through an ordeal with family or community can be very affirming and strengthening. So, it's
like, right. In Mormonism, we just call that church.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's very, it's very community oriented. These, oftentimes several families will come together for an iftar, so, a couple times a week. And then the final meal is just like a neighborhood block party.
Right.
All around the world for 1.8 billion people.
I've known observant Muslims, and I've had colleagues at work, et cetera, that actually look forward to it. Like they think it's a terrific experience and a terrific holiday, right?
Yeah, and you'd think, by the end of it, everyone's really happy it's over.
Yeah.
But there is something somewhat energetic and somewhat, unifying to seeing these people celebrate this together. And so I've read that COVID-19 has had kind of both positive and negative effects on Ramadan. Not having to go to your manual labor job has been great for people fasting during the day. But, a huge part of Ramadan is going to the mosque and then getting together with your family and friends, which has been, off the table this last year. And for the most part in certain countries is off the table this year.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's, it really is just what it is. It's fasting during the day, a lot of praying and a lot more eating.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
And in Catholicism, of course, the holiday to celebrate the going without is a mad affair, especially in the southern United States and a lot of the Latin America, Fat Tuesday, Mardi Gras.
Yeah.
And they have their big feast before
before they have to give up stuff.
Yeah, but they don't give up everything, which is kind of what the Muslims do. So
right.
Well,
everybody's doing it. Intermittent fasting. That's what we're talking about. Get out there and do it. And by the way, we do have listeners in Turkmenistan.
Great.
I just looked it up. We do, and we love you. Hang in there. You're cool.
Ain't no party like a Turkmen party.
That's right. Let's move on.
Hey, fellas.
Hello.
It is the time in the show when we appreciate more than other people the people that give us money.
Jace.
And so now let us all bow our heads and close our eyes and pray to the people who are this week's best folks who have chosen to give us money. And Uncle Mark, I'm going to let you start us off because apparently we got one that isn't a Patreon donor.
No, we got a lovely PayPal contribution from Tony, who said, "Hey, uncles, I finished listening to your entire back catalog. Just a little something to say thanks. I feel like we owe you money for listening to the whole thing, but we're sorry.
Right.
We're sorry, and we thank you, Tony."
Yes, indeed. And the other folks that gave us money are as follows: the Hegemon, Bettina, and do not mispronounce my name, followed by a bunch of letters that are arranged in the form of a word. But
oh, no.
Since I'm not allowed to mispronounce it, I'm just going to not.
Oh, no. Whoever you are, we love you.
Yes, exactly. Whoever you are. Whose turn is it to do a saint? There's a saint.
I think it might be me.
Okay, Uncle Mark.
Tell me.
You're to Saint Tina.
Tina! That was an all caps exclamation right there that I just did. So Tina, of course, you forever forward will be under the protection of Saint Elemenope of Ulaanbaatar, who is, of course, the patron saint of abracadabras and of quarterly cost reports for all-inclusive beach resorts, of course, and scrimshaw pornography.
All right.
Yeah.
How about that?
A classic. Have you seen the people that are having their saints illustrated? Dan keeps sending me
yeah, it's so cute.
Things from the Facebook group where there are people having their saints, and they're very cute.
Yeah, so that's a fun thing that you can do.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you so much, Tina, for your patronage. Enjoy your saint, and thanks to all the rest of you for your patronage. And listen, if you can't afford to give us your money, I get it. We're fine. We're not going to hold you at fault. But please go to iTunes, click on the place where it says write a review, write a nice thing about us. It doesn't hurt. It's fine.
It's free. Give us 5 stars. Doesn't cost a nickel.
Give us 5 stars, y'all, and that will help get the word out, and that's a lovely thing to do.
Won't cost you a Roosevelt dime.
All right. Let's move on.
Doug?
Yo.
You ever feel like just something's out of place?
Quite often.
So just something's out of whack.
Pretty much constantly.
Are you talking about me right now? I'm listening. I'm here.
Oh shit! Hey Dan, what's going on, man? Yeah, it's
hey buddy.
Sometimes I just feel like there's got to be an adjustment. You know what I mean, Dan? How about you? You feeling out of place?
Oh, I'm feeling something.
Yeah.
Here's what I'm feeling. I'll tell you what I'm feeling. I'm feeling fear.
Fear.
And the reason I've been dreading and putting off this particular topic since we started the show.
Oh my God, that's 187 episodes ago.
Yeah, exactly. Because there is a very real possibility that this segment will piss off more listeners than any segment we've done before. And I don't want that. I really don't. But here's the thing. We challenge woo. It's what we do. We research it. We read a bunch about it. We attempt to find the most reliable sources that we can. Sources who are much smarter and more scientific than we are.
Yes,
so we're
please,
not just
please see
talking
the
out of our
patrons
asses.
only segment of this show for this Just Such a Source. If you're not a patron and you want to be after this segment, you can listen to that.
That's right. So we go through all of those processes and then we make fart jokes about it. This is our job.
Yes.
The reason I'm so trepid about wading into these waters is that it's very likely that we have more listeners who currently utilize and believe in this woo than any other woo that we've ever done before. Hell, we know we have at least one person who makes their entire living off of it because they wrote in to tell us about it. So let me start by saying that this segment is not designed to make anyone feel stupid or foolish for participating in this woo.
Other than me.
Other than Uncle Mark.
Yes.
That is not the goal. We love you. That said, chiropractic is bullshit.
Oh, boy. Well,
okay.
Bye.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe that's a little too strong a stance to take, and I'm actually going to walk that back some later on. But for now, that's the position. If you're mad, I understand. Keep listening, and if you're still pissed off at the end of the segment, I've set up a special email address that you can write into so Uncle Mark doesn't get overwhelmed monitoring our regular email.
There you go.
Because this isn't his fault. Remember,
Not yet.
This email is not for any other inquiries, just angry stuff about the segment. So if you want to get real mad at me about it, please email me at socialmedia@MikeLindellOfficial.com. That is a very real address, so please feel free to spam the hell out of it.
You know what? I believe that's a real address.
It is.
Well,
That's
you
so
might
great.
need a chiropractor after you sleep on a MyPillow,
Yeah, exactly.
and your spine becomes fused.
Yeah. So, what's so wrong with chiropractic, you ask? After all, here in the United States, chiropractors train for years in chiropractic schools, are licensed by the state, and are often covered by insurance. Hell, they have a doctor of chiropractic degree. They're doctors, Uncle Dan. Are you a doctor? No, I'm not. And all of this is true, which could easily lead someone to conclude that this is an established medical science. Indeed, it has been around for well over a century, so that's pretty established. It's just that almost everything that chiropractors do is neither medical nor science. Chiropractic was invented by a guy named Daniel David Palmer. DDP was born in 1845 in Ontario, Canada, but emigrated to the U.S. where he was when he was about 20. He had a varied job history in his younger years, which included owning a grocery store, school teaching, and this is true, beekeeping.
No, it's
it's
an honest trade.
Dude took a bit to find his true calling.
Sure.
Here's the thing. In the late 1800s, this was a time of huge innovations. Internal combustion engines, the telephone, the stapler, things that would go on to change the world. It seemed like every other week some amazing new discovery or invention was changing how people saw and interacted with our universe. That was certainly true in the field of medicine, where new theories about what caused ill health popped up all the time.
Yeah.
And because good science was still something that was kept for the educated elites, everybody else was left to decide for themselves what was real and what wasn't. And in the good old US of A, where everybody's equal, some Joe Schmo beekeeper is just as likely to get it right as some highfalutin doctor. Am I right?
Everything old is new again, Dan.
That's right. So this was a time of grand theories about health. Phrenology told us that you could know everything you needed to know about a person's mental traits by the bumps on their head. A tonic of cocaine and oil extracted from a reptile could cure any ailment and give you super strength to boot. That's
not true?
I'm not saying it's not true. I'm just saying good luck finding the stuff. One particularly strange theory gained some traction in the 1800s, which was that some diseases were caused by tiny, invisible life forms that invaded people's bodies. It was a wacky time.
Stupid.
Yeah. Well, old Dan Palmer wasn't falling for that germ theory mess. But he was very interested in some other promising fields of medicine, like magnetic therapies, which we definitely should cover sometime, and spiritualism. He was so interested, in fact, that he bought himself a bunch of magnets and started a magnetic healing practice. The story goes that one day in 1896, the janitor of the building where he had his little magnet practice, a fella named Harvey Lillard, told Palmer about that one time when he felt something weird in his back and then lost most of his hearing. Palmer felt around on Lillard's back and finding a bump there that wasn't supposed to be, he theorized that Lillard's hearing loss was related to his back being out of whack and convinced Lillard to come into his office and started manipulating his spine. Boom! The man was cured and could hear again. Isn't that amazing?
That is amazing.
Aren't you inspired?
I'm inspired.
Great. Then there's no need to investigate further. Definitely don't refer to the completely different story that Lillard's daughter later said her dad recounted to her, where Palmer literally just slapped Lillard on the back after he told a joke, and Lillard could hear a little better.
Strange.
Still strange.
Yeah.
Still likely not true, or who knows what it was. Maybe it dislodged some wax. You never can tell. Whatever the real story was, this incident gave Palmer the idea for chiropractic, that all diseases, medical problems were caused by disruptions in the nervous system because people's spines were out of place. We did it, everybody! We figured it out! Hooray! Well, okay, to be fair, it's a little more complicated than that. Our bodies have, quote, an innate intelligence conferred upon them by the universal intelligence. Mm-hmm. And then the spine thing. That's basically it.
Right.
I would call my body many things after the past year, but intelligent is not one of them.
That's very, very true. Now, how did Palmer know how to do this? Where did this amazing idea come from? Well, according to him, and I really want you to hear this part of it, if you think that chiropractic is a real thing. Palmer quote, received chiropractic from the other world. That is a direct quote from him. Remember how I said he was into spiritualism? Well, apparently a spirit named Dr. James Atkinson told him all about how the body actually worked and he would know because ghosts know shit. Unless you think he thought that he was just getting good science from the ghost. No, he did not think of himself as merely the leader of a scientific movement. I'll just let him speak for himself. This is in his own words. Quote, "We must have a religious head, one who is the founder, as did Christ, Mohammed, Joseph Smith, Mrs. Eddy, Martin Luther, and others who have founded religions."
I'm sorry. Who is Mrs. Eddy?
I think she founded the Christian Scientist.
Was she Gerald's mom? Like,
yeah.
I like to think just a lady down the street, and then Muhammad
And Jesus.
Yeah. And
he goes
Joseph Smith,
on to
suspect immediately if you're citing Joseph Smith as an authority in anything.
Right. Yeah. Anyway, he went on to say, "I am the fountainhead. I am the founder of chiropractic in its science, in its art, in its philosophy, and in its religious phase." So, yikes.
Yeah.
Anyway, Palmer took this spooky ghost medicine religion and ran with it. He honed and refined his backcracking technique and began teaching it to others. And man, did it take off. It was a hit. People came to him for every kind of malady, from asthma to rheumatism to malaria and smallpox. And he did the same thing for all of them.
And cured them all the end.
Right, exactly. I mean, I think about it. This was the Victorian era. I suspect that just feeling the touch of another human being was probably super mind-blowing. So people were really impressed.
Probably.
In 1897, he founded the Palmer School and Cure in Davenport, Iowa, later renamed the Palmer College of Chiropractic, which is still, to this day, one of the top chiropractic schools in the world. One of his earliest students was his own son, B.J. Palmer, who, despite apparently having been alternately beaten and ignored by his dad all through his childhood, still took to the family quackery business quite well.
Was it beating, or was his dad giving him an adjustment?
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
The early adjustments were apparently done by belt.
I've seen some chiropractic, and it kind of looks like a beating to me.
Yeah, there you go. Eventually, somebody noticed that this Palmer fellow was, practicing medicine without a license, which was apparently a no-no even back then. So DD went to jail, and in his absence, BJ took up the mantle of HQIC, that's head quack in charge, and continued growing the business. When DD got out of jail, the relationship of father and son deteriorated, just like the chiros say that your back deteriorates. This got worse and worse until one fine Founders Day, and I swear this is true, when Daniel Palmer was marching in the parade, BJ fucking hit him with a car.
What?
So that happened.
On purpose?
But
well,
his hearing was restored.
Right? We don't know that it was on purpose. He was cleared by a court of any malfeasance. But Daddy Palmer did die a few months later. Officially of typhoid fever, which apparently, when combined with automotive industries, cannot be cured by chiropractic after all. After that, BJ took over and turned chiropractic into Scientology. I swear to God, it's the same shit. He organized the practitioners so that they could protect each other. Anyone who accused them of being unscientific snake oil salesmen that they were would be instantly sued into oblivion. BJ even introduced the use of a completely useless electrical device called a neurocalometer, or neurocalometer, which he licensed to other chiropractors for outrageous sums of money. It did nothing.
What did it look like?
I don't know. I actually haven't seen an image of it, but all it did was sense heat a little bit.
Okay.
It was not useful in anything.
So it wasn't even up to E-meter snuff.
Well, I mean, I think it's about on the equivalent thing about e-reader and e-meters. And lest you think I'm straining this Scientology comparison, get this. The e-meter that you're speaking of, that all the Scientologists love and revere so much, was invented by a chiropractor.
Are you serious?
That's right.
In the fine tradition of his trade.
Wow.
So there you go.
Was it invented for Scientology, or did it exist?
No, it was. He invented it, and then Ron Hubbard saw it and thought, I think he actually invented it after having seen a lecture by Ron Hubbard, and somehow they got together and
two great tastes that go great together,
right?
Yeah.
So that is the history. But what about now? Well, modern chiropractic has kind of divided itself into two warring factions. They are the straight chiros, who don't want to acknowledge that we've learned anything in the last century, and therefore stick to Palmer's teachings with a few nutball add-ons like applied kinesiology, where they determine what your body needs by having you hold out an arm and pressing down on it to see how strongly you can resist it, and then they have you hold a certain supplement or put it in your mouth, and they push down on your arm again, and if your arm goes down more easily, it means your muscles weakened, and that means that you need that supplement.
Yeah.
Or it means that they pushed harder. Difficult to say, really. So the other camp of chiropractic is actually interested in focusing on evidence-based science. They're called physical therapists. Ha! Just kidding. They still call themselves chiropractors, probably because they already paid a fuck ton of money for chiropractic school and don't want to go back to square one. But really, an actually evidence-based chiro is virtually indistinguishable from a PT.
Yeah. So I've had physical therapy. It was enormously, after a car wreck, it was enormously beneficial.
Yeah.
But my bones didn't get cracked.
No.
No.
The evidence-based guys move away from the cracking of the bones to some extent. We'll get to that. So here's the scoop. The back cracking thing does almost nothing. Backs do not go out of alignment except in the case of bad injury, and then you need an orthopedic surgeon, not a chiropractor. Backs are insanely tough, and you're not going to affect how the spine sits by pressing on it. The science is pretty clear on that. That said, modern medicine has had a very difficult time coming up with ways to help a hurt back. The best that they have is pretty much ibuprofen and targeted exercises. And in some studies, chiropractic is shown to do as well as that in fixing back problems. The trouble is that backs actually heal themselves, like really well. It can often take several weeks, but it generally happens. So if you have back pain for 3 weeks and then you go to a chiropractor, it might get you better really soon, but you probably would have gotten better in the same time frame without the chiro. You just wouldn't have paid out all that money. And there are some real problems with chiropractic. The non-evidence-based chiros make all sorts of really dangerous claims. They'll tell patients that they have just as much training as a medical doctor. They'll say that like your back has a curve, and if they don't fix it, you'll get problems down the line, which is not true. Then they'll say that you need to come in for like several times a week for months to fix it, which they cannot do. They take before and after x-rays to measure progress. They still claim that they can cure and prevent diseases. They tell people to stop taking doctor-prescribed medicine, and then they sell them expensive supplements instead. They tell parents that their newborn babies need spinal adjustments to deal with the trauma of childbirth. That is
that tiny
fucking
little
terrifying.
skeleton?
Yeah.
Ay.
And perhaps most disturbing of all, at this particular moment in history, they stick to Dirty Dan Palmer's claim that vaccines are worthless.
Oh, God.
It's a real problem. They are propagating this anti-vax narrative, not based on, the whole autism thing or whatever, but because of 100+ year old idea of a guy who had no training in medicine
and got his information from a ghost.
From a ghost.
Right.
It's fucking ghost medicine. And yeah, you really need to run fast.
So
from that kind of shit.
how do you are there any numbers on which are, how many people in this practice are like the science-based pro-vaccine, pro proper medicine, and how many are not?
I have not been able to. I didn't find any of that.
And like as a person going in to meet a chiropractor, how do you know the difference? I guess you just have to ask, right?
Yeah, and I do have a bunch of questions that I think will be helpful for that. Because to be fair, there is some evidence that spinal manipulation can help with lower back pain, sciatica, that sort of thing. So if you want to go to a chiro for that, go. But let's definitely get some questions out before you shell out your money. And I should note that I got these questions from one of the chiropractors who's an evidence-believing doctor of chiropractic. So he knows what his industry looks like. So these are some, I think, very sensible questions to ask before you go to the chiropractor. Ask them, first of all, if they treat anything other than musculoskeletal conditions. If they say yes, run the fuck away. Then ask whether when they use x-rays. The only time that they should be exposing anyone to radiation is if they suspect a fracture or some sort of life-threatening pathology like cancer. If they use them to track your progress or to look for subluxations of the spine, which is a big word in chiropractic, and they use it in a totally different way than the rest of medicine uses it, so that can be a big no-no, and run away if they're using x-rays excessively. Ask them how much they use what are called passive treatments versus coming up with exercises and stretches that the patient can do. Passive treatments are ones where the patient doesn't do anything, but the chiro works on them. So this includes spinal adjustments, ultrasound, scraping, which is where they scrape the skin to break up scar tissue and fascia. There is zero evidence that this works in humans, and a bunch of other stuff. An evidence-based chiropractor will say that any passive treatments that they use are secondary, and that the main course of treatment is active and works the patient quickly towards self-management. And that's a very key thing. Because literally a lot of chiropractors, their whole business is saying, you have to come back and come back and come back to me. We got to manage this. We got to maintain this. And it's just a money grab. That's all it is. And finally, ask if they have patients. So you should ask if they have patients come in frequently and for long periods. Literally, it's just that money grab that I'm talking about. A reputable, evidence-based chiropractor should only need to see you enough times to get a good, self-managed regimen of exercises and stretching going. Because they're really just PTs.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So, well, it's interesting, Dan. This doesn't mean a thing is not a woo, but I have, friends who I've known for years and years and years who are intelligent people. Because, there's a lot of like blue collar work in my industry, right? And a lot of really physical work that goes into making a movie. And a lot of these people I know swear by it. Like they couldn't get through life without a chiropractor is how they feel. You know?
It's one of those things where, like I said, literally, so in cases of back pain, modern medicine, evidence-based medicine has not come up with much more than just take ibuprofen and do targeted exercises to help strengthen your back and activate it. Do those. They're literally like chiropractic can't do any better than that. It can sometimes have as good an effect as that, but exercise and ibuprofen costs a lot less than chiropractic.
What about the PT side of it though? Like the people who are actually practicing, trying to do.
Well, that's they may be able to help you come up with some really good exercises,
Right?
And so it may be worth a visit or two.
They're probably the ones who prescribe the medication and help you figure out the regimen.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, yeah. So a chiropractor, I don't think they can prescribe medication, but
I don't know.
They can help you come up with some good exercises, and then just take ibuprofen for the pain. And like I say, backs are really good at healing themselves.
Well, I wonder if because it is kind of a dramatic, you go to a chiropractor. I've never been to one.
I've never been.
I don't want to. Yeah, but they're quite
or any other kind of doctor for that matter.
Right.
You see them in TV and film quite often.
Yeah.
There's it's dramatic. They grab you and like, oh, my back hurts, and oh, just stand over here, crack.
Right.
And I don't know how truthful that is in practice, if there's actually that much cracking, but it's dramatic, and maybe it has like getting your back popped feels good.
Yeah.
Getting stretched feels good.
Yeah, my husband has a very he sits at a desk and he's a graphic designer, and he works a lot sitting in a certain position.
Right.
And every once in a while, his back is very stiff and kind of feels locked up, and he asked me to crack his back for him, the old kind of hug from behind and lift thing.
Right.
And it sounds like a box of kindling, right? It's just crickety crackety crack, and he gets relief from that. So is that?
So there's something there.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's why it has a following. Is that it feels dramatic. It's satisfying in the moment, which most doctor visits are not, because that's just the way the body is. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I wonder if that's part of why it's got a popular following.
Yeah, I probably. And the other, but man, oh man, if they're talking about like adjusting your spine, like actually moving your spine to a different place or whatever, the spine is such a rigid, it's a powerful, impressive group of muscles and bones. They're not doing shit about that. They're never going to be able to move your spine and adjust it so that it's in better alignment. That's just not how spines do.
Right. So there's a permanent change in your spine. It is what you're saying.
Right. It's literally they're never going to make that happen. So don't go to them if they say that they can do that. If they're telling you, my first encounter with a chiropractor was when I was a teenager and I was in the mall and a chiropractor was like, "Hey, you want a free alignment assessment or whatever?"
Dan, I don't think that was a chiropractor.
Oh. Okay,
Yeah,
now that explains a lot of things.
Yeah.
Step into my windowless van.
Right, exactly. But the snacks are really good.
Yeah.
But no, he had me he put me in front of this device that he pushed up and down some things, and then he had me step away, and he's like, "Look at how unaligned your spine is. You should come and see me for a free session." And because I was a curious kid, my friend and I went to see him for a free session, and he brought out a chart about how the human body works and blah, blah, blah. And it was not even related to anything that I had ever learned about the human body or medicine before. And I was like, what the fuck is this? He was just using words that weren't used in medicine and stuff. And I was like, it freaked me the fuck out. And I was like, okay, thanks, bye, and left. And it truly, like, I hate to say it because so many people, like you say, Uncle Mark, swear by it, say that it's the only thing that'll fix their pain or whatever. And unfortunately, the science doesn't bear that out.
Well, we had a similar discussion about acupuncture, where the science is just not conclusive, it seems, on it.
Well, the science is conclusive that it doesn't.
It doesn't do what it says it does. Yeah,
it doesn't beat out placebo.
Yeah.
You may feel better. You may actually feel less pain.
Yeah,
but it doesn't actually beat out a a clearly bogus, made up alternate therapy. So there you go. Again, right to Mike Lindell if you're mad about it.
Well, I suspect we're going to hear from all kinds of people, because I'll bet there are plenty of rational people that like my friends that in the industry who swear by it. So it'd be interesting to hear what people think.
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
All right. So with that,
here we go.
Let's crack on.
Hit send.
Well, friends, that's it for this week's show.
Hey, we'd love to hear from you. Why don't you send us an email, especially if you want... not the chiropractic related ones, because those go to the Mike Lindell, but the other ones go to howto@howtoheretic.com.
Yeah, or you can yell at me about, I don't know, the Urim and Thummim or anything you can or can't see on Twitter. I'm at howtoheretic.
And as always, incredible thanks to our patrons.
And one last loving thank you and send off to our editor, Cody Layton, for years of service. He will be missed. In lieu of flowers, become a patron.
That's right. And thanks to all of you, friends, for tuning in.
Bye, friends. Bye, Cody.
Bye.